Hey guys, welcome to the very first episode of the Shaping Your World podcast. I'm Jimmy,
And I'm Jackson.
and today we're going to be talking to Miss Bowman for our first guest.
Come on over. Yep. Give her one clap up. Give her one clap up. Give her one clap up.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Yep,
you.
Of course,
Nice to be on.
So, can you talk to just the people going in, like out of high school into college, or just making a big transition in their life, about how that can be anxiety pressing and how they can overcome that?
Oh, for sure. I think those big transitions, no matter how old you are always a time that causes anxiety. I, as an adult, anytime I'm transitioning, if I get a new job, if I'm doing something new, I too still experience that form of anxiety. I think when we're making those big transitions and we're making those big shifts, the best thing that we can do is utilize our support system, right? Utilize those things that help us to stay happy, stay positive, and to kind of normalize that anxiety is normal, right? We all have it.
Sure.
Obviously, if it gets to an elevated level, we need some assistance with it. But really just normalizing that and using our support system.
You said support system. Could you give a few examples of those?
Absolutely. I'll give you examples for myself. Myself here at school, I have a support system, right? I have my administration team, right? So if I'm working on a project and I'm feeling overwhelmed, that's a support system that I go to for support and help. As students, I hope that they know their administration, their teachers, their mentors here are their support system. In addition to, you have support systems within your friend groups, right? Those are support groups. Some people have external support systems. They might have a therapist maybe that they work with outside of here, or a mentor, or a group that they're part of that provides them that support.
So would you definitely say that anxiety is the main cause of depression, or is there other causes?
So depression is a chemical imbalance, right? So as far as whether anxiety is the main cause, can it be a trigger? Certainly, right? But for some of us, it's hereditary. It runs in our family. It's something that we're exposed to. But as far as anxiety being the main reason, I think that it can be a definite trigger that I see in a lot of high school students.
Okay. And so, we're talking to the people that are kind of figuring out what their life is going to imply, what they're going to be doing for the rest of their life. Like, even me and Jimmy right here, our age group kind of struggles with committing to that next step.
Mm-hmm.
So, how could we overcome that extra thought in our brain that's holding us back?
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I'll tell you, that's very normal, right? Moving to that next level, figuring out what do I want to do, trade school or college, or just go into the workforce, or what I want to do. That makes a lot of us anxious, and it feels almost like locked in, right? Like we have to decide, we have to know. Fortunately, one of the things that we do a lot, and I think we do well here at DeSales, and it's not just me, but as our team, we help expose students to as much as possible, right? I'm a big believer in practice makes perfect, right? If I do something over and over and I'm comfortable with it, then I feel more confident in it and I know it's the right decision for me.
Repetition.
Exactly. So we do require you all to go on college visits. We do require you to go on job shadow visits. That's not because we're, trying to be really hardcore. It's really because I want you to see, is this a fit for me? Very similar to when you came to shadow for DeSales, right? I'm sure a lot of you had that feeling of, yeah, this is the school for me. This is the fit. I want you to kind of feel that same way about that next step. Not that there's not going to be nerves and the anxiousness with that transition, but I want you to feel confident in that next step.
I love the word requirement,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just you can do this. It is you should definitely do this.
Yeah. And not everybody loves that, right?
But,
but really, we have the best interest of students at heart. That really is. I mean, I have kids of my own, and I want them to do those things. I want them to take those visits and to really see, is this what I want to do with my path? Not that I'm requiring college for them, or not that I'm requiring trade school. I want them to find the path that fits them and they're going to be successful at.
You think that, would you be safe with saying that exploring your options to open up that world to you would be one of the best ways to go about it, figuring out what you might want to be doing?
Yes, and I'll tell you, this is a perfect example of, I'll give you my high school. When I was in high school, we've done interest assessments through that Pathful program. You all remember that.
We did that.
we did one of those. I went to Butler High School and we did one of those too. And I remember it came back 3 things for me. It was nursing, lawyer, or educator. Probably looking back now, I can see, oh, I like helping people. So I was going to be in that helping field some way.
Oh, we have you here.
Right. But when I went to do a job shadow as a nurse, I found out that I could not stand at that age. Now I have 3 kids, I'd probably be better. But I couldn't stand the sight of blood, right? So that helped me to figure out like, whoa, that's a path that I'm not ready for. Although I could have probably done the academic piece, it was even more impactful for me to figure out what I didn't want to do than it was what I did want to do. Does that make sense?
I also feel like what holds a lot of kids back from doing what they want to do is doing what other people want them to do.
Uh-huh.
So not that other people are forcing them to do this, but
Peer pressure.
Like peer pressure. Your friends want you to go to school with them.
Or even like for me, it was like my family members, right? It wasn't just my peers, it was my family too. Like, you should go to law school, or you should, do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I can definitely feel that. And I think you see that in career paths. You see those trends. Like right now, I'll be honest, like sports medicine, sports marketing, PT, they are really in high demand. Students are really looking for those paths because it's interesting to them. But you kind of see those trends. They kind of ebb and flow, if that makes sense.
Speaking of trends, like you work here, you've been here for definitely more than I've been here. So would you say that from what you've seen yourself, that people kind of branch off into what their interests are, just in like classes they might choose, like what areas they might go in?
Yes, and we're hoping to help continue to create those pathways, right? Because we want you all to feel very confident and prepared. Like I remember when I left high school, I loved science. And so I remember going into my first college level class, and it was a 300 level like science chem class. I did very well in the ACT in science. So they're like, yeah, she's got this. I went in and day one, I got the whole, like everything I learned in high school, we went over day one. So from that point, I was like, oh, I felt very isolated and alone. I was like, oh, here we go. One of the most difficult classes I've ever taken. And I think because I went in with that like fearful mindset, if that makes sense.
Speaking of that fear, we're trying to show people that there's always going to be somebody with you, right? Like in a religious aspect too.
Sure.
Like, because whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, like there's always going to be somebody there for you. And would you say that seeing a higher above being could also help you get through some struggles?
I personally believe that, right? I don't, I'm not one that's like, everybody has to believe what I believe, but I certainly find that as a comfort and security, even when I've faced struggles and things in my life. So, yeah.
I feel like just looking forward to something, looking up to something will also help very much.
Absolutely.
You also said that people were fearful to take that next step. I feel like that fear comes from lack of preparation. So could you go in a little bit about like what would be the right ways to prepare for something big?
Are we talking about still transitioning to that next level? I think the more exposure that you can get to that next level, the more involved you can get, right? Again, I really feel like moving from high school to college, although it's much larger scale, or high school to new position or new job, although much larger scale, is very similar to those feelings that you had from 8th grade to freshman year. And you kind of have to like go back and have a little nostalgia and remind yourself like, yeah, I did have those fears and I did have those feelings. Getting involved, getting exposed, getting on campus, participating or volunteering if you're looking at trade school, getting there that summer before and see if you can work as a journeyman or under somebody for the summer. That the more exposure you have, the more confident you're going to be in that next step.
I'm speaking for everybody back there sitting up here, me and Jimmy here. We have come from being these little nervous freshmen that are just getting used to this feeling to now being in the flow of everything kind of day to day and just being present.
That's right. And it does exude confidence, right?
Yeah.
That is the one thing that I think that we do well. Like I hope that we develop confident young men.
Yeah, I'll just set an example for myself. I came in here, nobody from my old school came here. I was all by myself, and now I have all my brothers that I can talk to every day. not only in my class, but within higher classes than me, the juniors, the seniors. I'm really able to go to them and talk to them, which I think is just great.
And I also feel like that the upperclassmen, the teachers, act as a thing that freshmen look up to, the people that they want to be, they aspire to be. So that's why I think setting a good example will also help ease off some of that pressure of transitioning or doing something totally new.
Absolutely. I think when you have good mentors, it helps you to develop I want to be that mentor for somebody, or at least that's for me, right? I had a good leader, so I want to be that good leader.
We all think you're great.
Oh,
so
thank you.
That's why you're here. Again. So thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. If you need anything, let me
Give
know.
her a few props, guys. Come on. Yep.
Well, I thought that went great for our first episode on our podcast. That was just absolutely amazing. We're more than thankful to have Miss Bowman not only at our school, but to be able to come talk to us about it. How do you
That's great.
think of it?
I think it's awesome that she's right across the hall. We could go to her wherever we want. Might be a hint towards something later on. But for a first episode, I think it's amazing. And I can't wait to keep this thing going and teach y'all, advise y'all to keep doing what y'all want to do in life.
We're going to have more episodes just like this coming out. Hopefully you guys can enjoy it. I know that me and Jackson.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We love it. We love it. We love it. It's a different way of being in class without being in class. So come on now. So
okay. Well,
thank y'all, everybody here, everybody supporting us. We'll be back next time with the Shaping Roll podcast. I'm Jackson.
I'm Jimmy.